Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to our online class. How are you all? Hope you all are doing well. August is coming to end. UFA ones are finished, corrected. Now start studying the first lesson again, then second lesson. Okay, we're doing our second lesson, respiration, isn't it? It's a lengthy lesson, I know. We have done a little bit of it. We'll continue with our lesson. When we run, what do you think? The considerable amount of muscle work we do, but you do not start a race on standing on the track and panting for a few minutes to stoke up with oxygen first. Now when you run, in fact you can run the race with very little extra breathing. The fastest sprinters do not breathe at all when running 100 yards. After you have reached the destiny, however, you will feel very different depending on your state of training and on how hard you ran. You will pant for some minutes after the race until your breathing gradually returns to normal. When you are doing every day, you come to school or walk 1 kilometer, go on the steps 5 if you're staying on second floor building. Okay, every day you come once or twice, you come up and down, isn't it? To 2 floors, you will have the habit of getting up and down every day. You'll once slowly your breath will go comfortably. When you go 5 to 10 times, you'll breathe very loudly, which is not normal. So if you have practice, you can get up and do some work, some physical activity. If you play football, cricket every day, you will be able to do fresh, healthy. You'll feel. So the same way, if you have the habit of getting up at 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock every day, whatever time you get up, it will not be very easy to. If you get up at 5, it will not be very difficult for you to get up at 4, because it's hardly 1 hour. You got the habit of getting up early morning. Got it? If you get up at 10 o'clock every day in the morning, and I tell you start getting up, school is coming at 5 o'clock, it will be very difficult. You can do it. You can practice it. Practice makes a man perfect, but it will take time. Immediately you cannot do. If you're already getting up 6, I'm telling you, get up at 5 from tomorrow, you can do it 1 hour, because you got the habit. A little difference will be okay for you. In the same way, if you run, a runner can run very fast with his oxygen level will be fine, a little above normal. Who have the habit, athletes run very fast, isn't it? You can see in the picture. These facts could be linked up with what we have learned so far about ATP, adenosine triphosphate. It might be that this race was run on the energy produced when the ATP already present in your muscles was being converted to ADP. Unfortunately, this pleasantly simple ideas is inadequate, because we only carry sufficient ATP in a muscle to last for about half a second when doing vigorous exercise. There must be some other explanation for the way in which we can produce energy first and then use up oxygen later. Got it? One approach in the study of this problem was to analyze the blood of a person during and after exercise. For some obvious reason, the athlete taking up exercises before and after. Got it? For obvious reasons, the athlete taking experiment had to stay still where the apparatus has. He pedaled a stationary bicycle or ran on a treadmill belt, moving exercise, as I have just said you. Some results are shown in the graph. What happens? Vigorous exercise lasted for 9 minutes. Continuous heavy exercise means shown by the bar at the base of the diagram. And regular blood samples were taken and analyzed. Got it? One particular compound in the blood, lactic acid, was found to be vary greatly in its concentration, as you see in the graph. Lactic acid is high in the graph at B point, isn't it? Here 10 to 20 minutes in time, some concentration in blood is high. Observe the graph of lactic acid accumulation in muscles of an athlete and answer the following questions. Graph how it shows x-axis time in minutes. You can see it, isn't it? Y-axis concentration of lactic acid in blood. What was the concentration of lactic acid in the blood to start with? What was the greatest concentration reached during the experiment? If the trend between point C and D were to be continue at the same rate, how long might it take for the original lactic acid level to be reached again? What does high level lactic acid indicate about the condition of respiration? Accumulation of lactic acid results in muscular pain. If we take brisk walk, slow jogging, running for same distance, we feel that there is an increase in pain level. This is because of lactic acid accumulation. It seems as if lactic acid was being produced rapidly by the active muscles and then only gradually removed from the blood after exercise. What is surprising is that the athlete needs a great length of time to recover. So lactic acid does not accumulate if you are a athlete, if you are a fresh active person, runner, walker, brisk walking and all. Got it? What is surprising is that the athlete needs a great length of time to recover. The simple explanation we can produce at this stage is that the sugar in the working muscles was being changed to lactic acid. The energy stored in the lactic acid molecules is less than that in sugar molecules, and if the accumulation occurs from the sugar, then the energy released could be used to rebuild ADP and phosphate. During 100 meter race, what happens? A well-trained athlete can hold his breath all the time. It is not until afterwards that he pants. In this case, the muscles are using the energy released during the anaerobic breakdown of glucose. Muscles got used to it. It is not until afterwards that the athlete obtains the oxygen needed in order to remove lactic acid. Therefore, when we undertake strenuous exercise, we build up what it is called oxygen debt, which has to be repaid later. Oxygen debt, less of oxygen. In a longer race, athletes have to breathe all the time, so some lactic acid is removed when they are running. Got it? And they can go on for longer before they become exhausted. The presence of lactic acid in the blood is the main cause of muscle fatigue. Got it? Muscles get stretched, tired. But if the body is rested for long enough, the tiredness goes away. What is anaerobic respiration, children? We have found that living things produce carbon dioxide and give out energy. If these processes are caused by an oxidation process, what happens if the oxygen supply is cut off? If human muscles can go on releasing energy when they are short of oxygen, what can cells of other living organisms do? We'll see in this activity some experiments with yeast. To test this idea, we can see whether it is possible to detect any rise in temperature and the production of carbon dioxide when living organisms are kept away from the supply of oxygen. Now we have taken a test tube. Liquid paraffin is there, yeast in boiled and cold glucose is also there. Next is lime water, thermometers attached like this to it. Yeast grows rapidly if it is supplied with glucose in solution. Indeed, wild yeast are normally found growing on the skins of fruits like grapes and apples, from which they derive their food supplies. Our immediate problem is to remove oxygen from the glucose solution and yeast. Arrange the apparatus like shown in this figure. Testing for the production of heat and carbon dioxide under anaerobic respiration. You can remove dissolved oxygen from glucose solution by heating it for a minute and then cooling it without shaking. Now put in some yeast in this first bottle test tube. You can say the supply of oxygen from the air can be cut off by pouring 1 centimeter layer of liquid paraffin on the mixture. Got it, children? Now you wish to check the oxygen that has been removed, right, from the mixture. Add few drops of Jamun's green bee solution to the yeast suspension before you pour the liquid paraffin wax. What happens? The blue dye turns pink when oxygen is short supply around it. Arrange for any gas produced by yeast. Yeast produces a gas to escape through a water wash bottle containing bicarbonate or indicator solution or lime water. What do we see in this process? Anaerobic means some amount of carbon dioxide is released. The released carbon dioxide passes through the tube and turns lime water milky. We can observe the change in the temperature also during this process for yourself. You may prefer to carry out carbon dioxide production part of the experiment on a smaller scale using the test tube. If you do so, then warm them to about 37 degrees in order to speed up the test. What happens when a baker prepares a dough, children, by using the yeast in it? It will fluffy chapatis will be there and thick good material will be formed. That's why they add yeast to it. Yeast is present in bread, maida, bread, everyday bread, naan, isn't it? The rumali rotis and these all things have dough. Yeast, they have yeast. Okay. So understood, children, why is yeast so important? It is put in almost all bakery items in burger, pizza, okay, chicken and all. Fermentation. We have already studied fermentation in the last lesson. Let us recall maida, yeast, dough activity that you have performed in 8th chapter, in 8th class. The story of microorganisms. Why volume of dough have increased? Which gas is released? Do you understand what is the smell of it? Is it oxygen? Okay, we'll see the homework for today. What is oxygen depth? What are the bad effects of lactic acid accumulation and how to treat it? Explain fermentation process and submit the homeworks tomorrow. Submit the homeworks by evening 5 to 8. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. See you in next class. Fermentation, I've just given the introduction. Okay, write only 2 questions, no problem. First 2 questions. Assalamu alaikum, children.